It's the summer season and temperatures have been rising daily. Maximum temperatures recorded in West Bengal, in Maharashtra are now going above 41 degrees. But even in Delhi NCR and other regions, because of the humidity, people are suffering from problems such as heat strokes. Recently in Maharashtra, more than 30 people died because of a heat stroke problem that occurred in an open area event. How can you save from such things? I have with me Dr. Sanjay, who is the head of the Community Medicine Department at AIIMS, Delhi. Sir, heat strokes are happening, people are dying. How can someone be saved from the heat stroke? What is the diagnosis that a person can do if a doctor is not available around?
See, heat stroke is very common during summertime if temperature is above 40 degrees Celsius. In our country, especially like you rightly said, in Maharashtra, Rajasthan, UP, Bihar, West Bengal, these states are prone for heat stroke because of the high temperature during the summertime. You can avoid this type of heat stroke. First, avoid exposure, long exposure to sun, direct exposure to sun. If temperature is more than 40 degree, please avoid this. Second, always wear some loose type of clothes during summer. Third, the most important is always maintain hydration. Maintaining hydration is one of the most important factor to save lives. But suppose even after maintaining all this, if somebody developed heat stroke, then the best way to prevent death or prevent further complication is, as soon as possible, keep that person in a cool chamber or cool tub, or cooling is most important as soon as possible. So these are the very simple way, but we can save lot of lives.
So if there is no doctor around and a person is suffering from a heat stroke, what are the symptoms that one should look at? Does one feel dizzy? Does one have a headache? What are the symptoms that are red flags for heat stroke?
The most important symptom, first symptom is high grade fever. Usually fever sometimes is more than 104 degree Fahrenheit. So high grade fever after this exposure, you always suspect a heat stroke. And if you are suspecting heat stroke, so then do all this. Like just I said, cooling is the most important. Sometimes paracetamol does not work in this, but cooling is very effective. So diagnosis is not a very difficult task. Even self-diagnosis could be made. But you should know that just after this exposure, if a person is developing high-grade fever, most likely it's because of the heat stroke.
So also, what are the other illnesses that happen because of rising temperatures and heat waves in the country during this time?
During this time, because of some disturbance in environment like rain, etc., some vector-borne disease may occur. But largely, these vector-borne disease occurs during the your rainy season. Rainy season is always favorable for all these vectors, mosquitoes like either Aedes mosquito, which is responsible for your dengue, or Anopheles mosquito, which is responsible for your malaria. In malaria also, usually people develop very high grade fever, but it's a typical pattern. Like after a few hours, fever subside, even sometimes without medication. Usually start with the chills and rigor. So based on the symptoms, we can make diagnosis. So there are other differential diagnoses also. So, but majority of cases in extreme summer is because of heat stroke if somebody is developing fever. Other diseases like even enteric fever may occur. It's throughout year enteric fever, dengue, malaria occurs. But it's not the season of dengue and malaria. It's mainly season of heat stroke.
So also, is there a study or is there an understanding of how heat or high temperatures affects our body organs?
Yeah. See. Our body maintains temperature, so we have a thermal regulatory mechanism. Because of this extreme exposure heat, our this thermoregulatory mechanism disturbed, especially in geriatric population, elderly population, and in children. In children, it's not fully well developed, especially in infants. It's not fully well developed thermoregulatory mechanism. In geriatric population, they have, because of some age factor, etc., they also have poor regulatory mechanism, thermal regulatory mechanism. So because of high exposure of this mechanism, we usually found disturbed mechanism, and this is the main reason of this your high temperature.
And it does it have an impact on our brain also, which leads to problems or gastrointestinal issues also?
These are the common problems like gastrointestinal. Yes, it's not only your fever. There are some other problems like sometimes you may face loose motion, etc. So gastric disturbance, sometimes nausea, vomiting may occur, but fever is the most important symptom.
And you're saying that lastly, to protect from this, cooling is very effective, more effective than any other thing.
Yeah, the most effective mechanism to prevent death is as soon as possible start cooling. That's all.
So hoping that everyone listens to the advisory, because heat strokes are rising and they are leading to death critically in children as well as people who are susceptible to heat strokes in areas where temperatures now across India are crossing above 40 to 41 degrees, and in the summers we are going to see the worst of the temperatures going forward. Therefore, it's important to protect yourself from heat strokes and heat related illnesses.